The mission to rescue the American airman in Iran has been described as one of the most challenging combat search and rescue missions in Special Forces history, and it's hard to disagree now that we know many of the details of that operation. The drama began on Friday when an F-15E Strike Eagle aircraft, normally based at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk in Britain, was shot down in a remote mountainous region in the west of Iran. The F-15 has two crew, a pilot and sat behind him a weapons system officer, also known as a backseater. Both of those crew managed to safely eject from the jet. The pilot landed in a low-lying area where he was able to be reached quite quickly by American forces and he was rescued. But the weapons system officer, known as a WSO, he landed in a far more remote region, and the American forces were not immediately able to locate him, and a huge combat search and rescue mission then swung into action. At the tip of the spear of this mission was America's dedicated search and rescue unit, the Para-Rescue Men. Launched in 1946, it emerged from World War II when it became apparent that such a dedicated unit was necessary, and the Para-Rescue unit, known as the Para-Rescue Men, or PJs, their nickname, was born. That nickname emerged from early flight logs. Whenever they boarded a plane, they were entered on the flight log as parachutist and jumper PJ. And that's what we became known as. And over the years, they developed into one of the most highly trained special forces units anywhere in the world. They operate over land or sea, day or night. They parachute into hostile combat zones, often many, many miles behind enemy lines. They jump from either as high as 30,000 feet or as low as 800 feet. And a fascinating aspect of their operation is that they jump with huge parachutes measuring 450 square feet, almost twice the size of a normal chute. And this allows them to jump with far more equipment, as well as their own personal rucksacks, weapons and body armour. They jump with a huge 80-pound parachute pack, which includes a vast array of equipment, enable them to locate, medically treat if necessary, and evacuate their target. This medical equipment includes blood packs in case they need to carry out an emergency transfusion in the battlefield. They're a standalone unit, but they often operate alongside other Special Forces units, including, on this mission, the legendary Navy SEAL Team 6. It was Commandos from that team which shot and killed Osama Bin Laden in that daring nighttime raid on his compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan in 2011. As well as the hundreds of Special Forces operatives, there were dozens of aircraft involved in this search, including Black Hawk and Pave Hawk, helicopters, C-130 transport planes, and a C-130 Combat King, the America's only dedicated personnel recovery jet. They'd been in the air since the moment it was known that the F-15 was down. But underpinning all of this force, the Special Forces operatives and the aircraft, was the CIA. The CIA has been operating in Iran for many years now in various guises, and their involvement in this operation came in three ways. The first role was that they adopted a tactic known as unconventional assisted recovery, which involves them contacting local people, shepherds and farmers in this remote mountainous region, which is not as loyal to the Tehran regime as some other areas of Iran. So they contact those local people to see if there's any possibility that they may be able to assist with the recovery of the pilot. The second role was they launched an incredible deception campaign. They spread messages around the local population and wider field in Iran that the pilots had already been recovered and were being evacuated from Iran on a ground convoy. And the purpose of this diversionary tactic was to try and release the pressure, because there was a huge hunt ongoing for the pilot. America and Iran were in a desperate life or death race to reach him first, but the local population was also involved in that hunt. Iranian state newsreaders had gone on television news to announce that there was a £50,000 reward for anyone who found the pilot, and local tribesmen in that area who normally survive on a weekly wage of £35, they formed small armed groups armed with AK-47s in the hunt for that pilot. So America was desperate to reach him first. Now, each airman is kitted with a beacon that's part of their flight suit, which emits their location to Central Command, as well as a small walkie-talkie style piece of kit which enables them to deliver encrypted messages. But it appears from reports coming out of America, based on briefings by American military officials, that it was actually the CIA that located the downed airman, and they passed his coordinates to the Pentagon. And one of the most complex and challenging missions in Special Forces history swung into action. And it was a team from that Navy SEAL Team 6 that reached the airman first. Once they landed, whatever checks they'd done previously to landing to confirm his identity, they also had to carry out one final human-based interaction check to make sure that he was the person they were rescuing. And this would have been based on his isolated personal report, ISO-PREP. Now, this is a document that every airman has lodged with the intelligence unit of his squadron, which includes his photograph, his fingerprints, and also an array of personal information unique to him, and a lot of which only he will know. So when the Navy SEALs landed, they will have asked him at least one, perhaps more than one question based on this information to confirm that he was the American aviator that they were rescuing. Once that had been confirmed, they got him aboard their helicopter and whisked him off back to Kuwait at speeds up to around 180 mile an hour to get him there as quickly as possible, where he could undergo medical treatment. We understand he was seriously wounded with a leg injury, but as Mr. Trump has made clear, he will be fine. Whilst they were rescuing him, a huge ring of steel had been thrown around the site, the crash site, to make sure that the recovery was safe without any other casualties. That included Reaper drones that were engaging any Iranian male of military age who tried to approach the site within a radius of 2 miles. Israel also helped. Israeli jets laid down a huge carpet of recovering fire, blasting at least 120 targets in the region, and American Air Force jets also did the same. But once the airman was back to Kuwait, it appeared that the mission was over, complete success. But there was one last heart-stopping chapter when it became clear that 2 C-130 transporter jets, which had taken part in the operation, were stranded at a remote air base in Iran, which the Americans had constructed to assist in this recovery operation. They were unable to take off. It appears that they may have become stuck in the sand and they couldn't take off. So 3 other planes had to be scrambled to get to that site to airlift all of the Special Forces soldiers who were stranded there. And as they left, they carried out a controlled explosion to destroy those planes, so there was no sensitive information fell into the hands of the Iranians. There was widespread celebrations across America and in Israel once the news broke that this incredible mission had been a success, with Donald Trump hailing it as the most daring rescue mission in American history.